Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser, and we continue to follow multiple breaking stories. A federal judge and Trump appointee Aileen Cannon has thrown out the indictment, charging Trump with mishandling classified documents. Cannon ruled the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith is unconstitutional. Then the ruling came down just hours before the Republican National Convention opens in Milwaukee. That's where CBS News has confirmed Trump will announce his 2024 running mate today. We'll have the latest from the convention in just a moment, but first, let's bring in CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson to talk about the dismissal of the documents case. So, Jessica, explain this decision and the argument over the special counsel to us.
So this decision is based on a part of the Constitution called the Appointments Clause. And what she says is that Jack Smith was not validly appointed. She basically says there are two routes here for appointing somebody. You can either have a superior officer who is appointed by the president and then confirmed with advice and consent of the Senate, or you can have an inferior officer and then you need a statute that authorizes that appointment. What Judge Cannon says is, let's assume that Jack Smith is an inferior officer, so you didn't need advice and consent from the Senate. What she's saying is, I don't see a statute that authorizes this.
What's the difference between an inferior and a principal officer?
It's a great question. It really depends on the level of responsibility you have, the level of independence. It depends on in some ways, it's exactly what it sounds like in the sense of how much power do you have in the government. So a principal officer, for instance, would be somebody like an attorney general, would be a federal judge. And then an inferior officer might be somebody who is appointed to the Department of Justice, but is not a attorney general. So there is a division in our government between those positions that are Senate confirmable, meaning they're principal, and those that are not, meaning they're inferior positions. But frankly, it's about what it sounds like. It's about how powerful you are and the level of responsibility and duties that you have.
Can the government appeal?
Yes, they can. I expect they will. They're going to appeal up to the 11th Circuit. Already, we have had one of Judge Aileen Cannon's decisions from an earlier iteration of this case dealing with a special master, not a special counsel, that was appealed up to the 11th Circuit. The 11th Circuit said no dice. They overturned her decision. The big question is what the 11th Circuit does here. I will say one thing for those watching at home to know is that Justice Clarence Thomas, in his concurrence in the immunity case that came out on July 1st, really telegraphed a lot of what we see in Judge Cannon's decision. The question is whether or not other members of the court and other members of the 11th Circuit agree with their reasoning.
Could this impact any of the other investigations, and particularly special counsel's prosecution of Trump?
Yes, with respect to Jack Smith. So what Judge Cannon does is she confines her ruling in many ways to Jack Smith and him and how he was appointed. But absolutely, it raises questions for the D.C. election interference case.
Jessica Levinson, thank you.